What's up, folks? So, I certainly debated on whether or not I was going to do a stream tonight, but I do want to take this stuff out of the pot. And even though I will not be putting stuff into the pot to cure for tomorrow, because I do have the scary show tomorrow, just want to see how it came out, you know? And yeah, we'll check and see how the black and orange combined. I think the orange wound up looking really good. We have that in our leftover stuff, and the black actually wound up looking pretty good too. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. I'm going to zoom in a little bit, that way we can see this better. Of course, if I flip my viewfinder, I can actually see what I'm doing. Alright, perfect. Alright. That's my hand. It's a nice hand. Let's zoom out a little bit because we're going to take this stuff out of the pot. So, first things first. Let's get the pot up there. Now this thing is heavy as fuck. I don't know why the camera's a little bit off today, but no big deal. Alright, let me get my phone set up so I can see if there's anyone chatting. And if there is, it's not showing, so that's fun. But I know another way around that. Or I thought I did. Never mind. Nothing works. Today's a crazy day. It is what it is. So. Okay, I can see Robin's chat over my shoulder, so that's good. Yesterday was weird. It actually let me watch my own stream, but today it's being dumb, so I'm going to trick it into letting me watch my stream elsewhere. And then we'll crack this thing open. How's that sound? Alright. Booyah. Alright, I am going to mute the microphone because it is going to get loud when I open the pot up. And then I'll unmute as soon as I'm done. Alright. Should be good. You can start unscrewing it. Robin says, show me the dice. Right. Is out. The pot will be moved. And the zooms will end. Perfect. Alright, so let's just start with our mold. Why not? So, it does appear like the top part of it did cure with no bubbles. You can see straight through it. You can see the dice that are within, which is great. All I have to do is peel off the tape, pop off the hot glue, which is like ready to go. It did not leak at all, so that method worked really well. We're probably gonna have to X-Acto knife a line around here, but we can actually see where the separation happens, so that'll make it easier. And let's just do that. Perfect. Alright, you can see it did spill over, so it did kind of seal the edge here, but you can totally see the lines. There is deformation right there, which we knew was going to happen, but man, does it look like shit on that corner. Luckily, the dice are all centered, so we won't really have to worry about that. I'm just realizing now that y'all can't see it that well, so let me get my X-Acto knife over here, cut a little seam in there. We should be able to peel it once we've cut a seam onto it, because there was so much Vaseline between the two layers. Oh wow, the tip of this X-Acto knife is totally bent. Not sure when that happened, but no big deal. Nice. You can hear it trying to peel apart right now, so if I just run this along. Yeah, there we go. Run this along the edge. Goes a real long way in getting this thing separated. This is also an example of why you don't want to use something with like a beveled lip, because it is kind of a pain in the ass because you have to cut along the entire seam. But that said, I think overall it came out pretty well. Alright. Cut along this edge over here now. And the line kind of finds itself, which is very helpful. So that's coming apart well. The edges where the mold meets the dice face are sticking just the tiniest bit, and that's because the silicone's on the silicone right there without the Vaseline, because you can't get the Vaseline right up to the edge of the dice face. You could, and then you could clean it. But realistically, when you clean it, you wind up cleaning off just the tiniest bit. And because of that, you always wind up having just like a tiny, tiny little spot where the silicone wants to stay connected to the other part. The top basically wants to stay connected to the bottom. But that is not a big deal. You just kind of guide your knife along the edge and cut it as you're peeling it apart. That's it. So this is my big divot registration mark. It did fill in along the sides, but the middle is like completely filled with Vaseline, so this should release really easy. Sure did. Fun noise. Fun times. Bob says, yay, greatest streamer is streaming. Thanks. Appreciate that. Almost got this whole thing released. It's getting glitter on it already because this desk has glitter on it. That should do it. Make sure this D6's edge is good. Alright. So, As you can see, the top came off. We have our big old registration marks there and there so that the lid can go back on. And overall, looking at the numbers, it looks like the D10 needs a little bit of cleanup. The D100, actually it looks okay. D100, D20, excuse me. So that's good. Ouch. Basically all the numbers look pretty good except this D100 actually. That's why it was in my brain. Just needs the edge cleaned off a little bit. Because they're just silicone covering the tiniest spot on its face. Which if you leave it means that you'll have like a slight divot in your dice when you make it. Just clean that up, should be good to go. Those are good, those are good, those are good. Maybe just a slight spot on the other D10. And again, it's because these bottom lines are very hard to trace because they're rounded. So it's also good to clean up the edges while the dice are still in there. Otherwise, it's much more difficult. Okay. Took a little bit off the edge of the D20. That'll be good. And now we just pop them out. They come out easy peasy because the bottom isn't too deep. If you make your molds really deep, I guess it kind of provides you like a sense of security almost, but it's also very hard to push your dice out, and the more torque you have to put on your mold to push your dice out, the more it'll deform. So it's like, sure, you have a deep mold, makes you feel good, but it will rip. You'll have to do it a lot sooner. These ones you just put a little bit of pressure and you can sort of guide the dice out really easily. And you have to worry about like deforming your edges after like 4 or 5 sets. I know a lot of the folks that were watching yesterday are sleeping. But I wanted to record this just because I don't want to do it off camera. Also, the top does have Vaseline on it. You don't really have to clean it up. I'm going to just use a little bit of isopropyl alcohol and to wipe that shit off because it is sticky. Great. Open that up. Cleaning up off camera because I'm an idiot. And I'm just doing the lid as well. It's not a whole lot on the lid, but there's leftover. Alright. We're just gonna find the edge. Set this down into it. And it fits like a glove. Perfect. Awesome. So that mold is done. Can make a full set of dice going forward. You just got to mix the resin, dump it in here. There's going to be cleanup on the edges of the one face that does show. But as you can see, those faces, they came in really good. The numbers are deep. So not really going to have to worry about that not showing up in the dice. So overall, it's just going to be a little bit of cleanup. Which is cool. And I do prefer the cap molds because I'll show you what the sprue dice looks like. We did this yesterday where we just poured in the resin to the sprue on the very tippy top. There's 2 things that I'm going to look for here in particular. One of them is whether or not the air bubble that was in there stayed in there. Even though we pressurized it in the air pot, sometimes those bubbles are substantial and they're kind of hard to crush out. It all depends on if you're able to tip your mold while you're filling it and whether or not that bubble can come to the surface and how big of a bubble it is. But that sucks if it's in there also because you do have to split this mold along the side in order to get your dice out. That means that there is a cut on the side of it, which means it's, as you can see, a bitch to get them out. Now you can just cut the solo cup off, which I'm going to do. but sometimes you can struggle it out. Sometimes you can just poke the bottom, get a little bit of air in there, and it'll come out. But realistically, if the resin leaked out the side, it's like stuck to the side of it, so it's not going to just release basically once you put a little bit of air in it, and that is the case currently with this one. So we're gonna just peel this cup off. I don't like to do this also because it's a giant waste of cups, so I'm trying to avoid wasting materials because I already waste pipettes and paper towels and stuff like that. So you can see I got to the part where the resin leaked out right there, and that's why the cup isn't peeling off easily, but it does eventually come off, so that's good. All right, so just sort of picking at the flashing over here, you can see into it pretty well and see that that color did stay separated, it didn't blend. So to get these out, you kind of have to split it open, hope you don't peel it and rip it too much, grab the sprue and yank the fuck out of it, and out it comes, flies away of you. You have all that excess on the top that you have to clip off, which I hate. Everything that's on the sides here, let's zoom in a little bit more and focus it up. I don't know why autofocus isn't a thing for this camera, but it's not, so there we go. Yeah, you can see like all this excess right here. You're gonna have to peel off. It's gonna leave a line on the dice itself. And then this sprue that's at the top, you have to clip it and hope that you don't clip it too far down. If you clip it too far up and you're conservative, you're gonna have to clip it again because sanding is gonna take too long and basically just destroy your sandpaper. So we're gonna get to about like 1 millimeter away from where it meets, and that's still too much. You see you have a giant bump right there that you have to try and sand off, which is a pain in the ass. You can use an X-Acto knife to try and clean it up, but overall, looking at this, it's kind of nice. The black definitely worked out really well. The orange worked out really well. I will say this particular sprue method didn't leave a lot to swirl it up, even though you're kind of injecting them like one on top of the other. But we're going to see the difference of the cap molds, which is pretty much what we're going to do tonight total. Just take these out and look at them. So the first one we're going to look at is our D10. Peel this stuff off. It's also super satisfying to peel this stuff. Remove the lid. See all the purple flakes that are around it. Zoom in again. We're going to get a little bit close as I do these ones, so I might go off frame here and there, but I'll try and do my best. There's a thin layer because it's a squish mold that comes off like a skin on a soup. Comes off just like that. Throw that away. We're going to push this thing out. Alright, this one has a lot of orange on the bottom. As we rotate it, you can see where it blends a little bit. On the back end, has a lot of the dark. There's a lot of spots where it's just sort of half and half or mixing into one another, and you can really see those purple flakes that Glitch suggested in there really well. So, pretty good. I like that. Alright, let's keep going. So that's our first one. We're going to combine our molds so we don't lose it. Put it off to the side. Alright, let's see which one's next. Looks like D8. And this one, I believe we're going half and half on this particular one. I think the one that we said was going to be risky was the D12. But I can't remember. Revan says, ooh, I love the flakes. Yeah, they look good. I kind of wish I would have broken it up a little bit, like between my fingertips, but when you grind them enough between your fingertips, it basically becomes like glitter. There's nothing wrong with it becoming like glitter. Sometimes you want big flakes, and I was kind of wanting big flakes to see how it would come out for this purple. That said, these are like thick boys, for sure. And this one in particular has a flake that ran all the way to the side of the face. It's right about there. But it looks okay. I think it's going to be alright, so let's push this thing out. Alright. The orange really overpowered this one, so got a lot of solid orange, like the 2's face is almost completely orange. But 5 is mixed, 4 is mixed, and this point when you see the black, it is transparent, so you can see like into the dice and see where the orange is mixing, which is something we weren't getting on that sprue mold. So overall, this one's good. I'm pretty happy with this one. It looks like there was a bit on the 8 where you can see that like it was originally half and half, most likely, of orange and black, and then the orange kind of seeped into the black a little bit, but it just created a really nice blend look. So that's cool. Let's put the ones we're done with in frame over there. Cool. Moving on. Again, I'm not going to do any new dice tonight. This is just so that we can take these out of the pot. Alright. This is the wonderful D4, the easiest one to push out. Peeling off that skin. I think for this one we tried to go, no, the D6 we tried to go like half and half the whole way up. I think this one we tried to do a swirl effect on. Alright. The swirl effect I don't think was that strong. You can see that some of the black is like running through the middle of it. But for the most part, the orange seems to have completely dominated this particular dice. So I think this is a pretty good lesson for all of us. That if we're going to mix colors and one's going to be pigmented, where it's going to be a very strong, and then one's going to be transparent, where it's made with ink, probably use a 2-to-1 ratio at the very least for the alcohol ink resin versus the pigment resin, because I'm pretty sure this one was half and half. And looking at it in person, it's definitely not looking half and half. It looks like orange with some darker specks and some purple flakes, but you know, it's not bad. Alright, let's see what we get next. A lot of spillage on that one. It's the D6. So this is the one we're trying to go half and half by filling up the bottom and then filling up the top. Just looking at that through the thing, I think it kind of worked. I do think that the orange is probably going to play a pretty dominant part, but so far so good. It looks like the orange kind of seeped up the side, but there's a good portion of this dice that's darker and has the purple flakes. Alright. Yeah. These 6s are just the easiest. So as you can see, the bottom has a lot of the orange, and there is a split that shows the top that has a bunch of the dark. Not an even split. The orange did creep up the side down here, which is kind of weird because the stuff on the bottom was orange, the stuff on the top was the dark one. I think it just sort of like pushed its way down and displaced some of the orange. But the 5, like you can start to see through. The 1 is actually the nicest side of this dice, I think. Maybe the 2, because the 2 is like an even split. Look at that. So that looks pretty good. And you can see that the purple flakes did mix in with the orange on this one. So it does on the 3 look like it's just like a portion of the top right, but not bad. All right, Trace Moss. It's always fun to peel these things. That's the bottom of your mold. This is the D100. Peel this off the cap. The 100 looks actually like a good mix on the face. Like you can see orange and blacking. This one's a really good actually. Like this top part here is very translucent. Like you can see through it. It's, you know, got that effect to it where you can see the orange mixing in. The orange kind of like drips down the top and ends up on the tip, and then on the other side you can see that the black mixes in a bit with the orange as well, and you got some purple flakes. This is probably the best one of the set so far. Although the D6 was nice as well. Alright. It also makes you wonder, like, which ones do we pour last? Is there a correlation to how well it didn't get overtaken? The dark ink didn't get overtaken because it was still fresher. And then the longer we waited, it became more syrupy, so it didn't exactly sink. Ugh, it's just the best. It's the best feeling. Peeling is the best feeling, except when you're sunburned. Or if you're peeling like a million potatoes, that shit sucks. This is the D20, by the way. This one, we'll see. I think we did swirl like all the way up and down, so it's probably going to be mostly orange. This one was a little bit difficult to get this shit off the top. Usually it comes right off, but hey, it's good now. Get off me. Alright. D1 looks good, man. Like, it looks dark with some orange swirl to it, so let's pop that sucker out of there. Alright. This one looks really good. Like, the bottom where the 20 is, we did say that the 20 was going to be heavily orange, but you can see that, like, some of the black ink and a lot of the purple started like sinking down there, and as you switch the dice you can just see like where they mix. It has that nice mixing color near the top, near the one. The one's actually dark and it has like the black, or excuse me, the purple fleck. So if that's your thing, if that's the preferred color here, you're actually going to be happy when you botch. The real question for this set is what color would you paint it, because you can't really paint the spots that are dark with black because you'll never see it, and you definitely can't paint the orange spots with something too light because it'll blend in really well. So there's gonna have to be a very unique color for this, but something like purple I think would actually work really well because it already has it in the dice and the flakes, and it'll really make it pop, and it'll show up on all of them. The D20 though looks pretty. So actually I'm getting really happy with this set. It definitely feels like a Halloween set, to be sure. And last but not least, the D12. I wasn't trying to build suspense with it either, but just wound up happening. I think this one was supposed to be half and half. Looks pretty good. Just looking at that through the side. The one does seem to have more orange in it than I would have expected for one that was supposed to be darker on the top, but let's see what it looks like overall once we get it out of here. I mean, overall, it looks pretty good. Like, on this 6, you can see where the orange like started to fall through the dark resin, so there's like a line that runs through it, and that's why the 1 has some of it on the top. But realistically, as you turn it, like that line stayed pretty well intact like the whole way around. On the 5, you can see where it like mixes really well. So this one looks pretty good too. I think the first ones we cracked open kind of gave us the expectation of what these things were going to look like. And, you know, they do look good, man. Like, I'm kind of shocked. I thought maybe this would just be overwhelmingly orange, but there is quite a bit of dark and purple in here, so that is awesome. So that's what they wound up looking like. Trying to figure out the best spot for these. Let me scooch this out of the way. So even though we talked about it yesterday, and I did talk about polishing off screen, I think it was a very good point that Enzomatrix stated, which is even if I do polish off screen, I should probably put it onto a social media of some sort. That way people can see what it looks like, and if I'm going to make mistakes, people can learn from them, and I think that's absolutely correct. So I will probably record myself doing these and then post it on an Instagram and a TikTok that I will be creating in the very, very near future, maybe even tonight. So folks can see what that's like, and I can speed it up, so even if it is boring, no one has to like commit too much of their time to it. Just looking at these though, like if we ink these purple, it's gonna be gorgeous. Like, I sincerely feel like these are going to be just the best with purple ink, and I have quite a few colors, but purple I think is the way to go on this. So gonna have to see if I have purple, and if not, gonna have to go to the store between now and Tuesday, because Tuesday will be my next stream, and pick some up. So the last thing I'm gonna say before I leave you all for the evening, oh yeah, how could I not? I gotta roll them. They handle like a dream. I rolled a 6 on the D20. I really need a dice box to roll these in. 15 on the D20. And a 16 on the D20, so pretty good. So I did want to say one more thing, because I did do this off camera, so I'm going to zoom out here a bit and show y'all. So last night I was talking about how when we took these out, a lot of them had like kind of a rough edge, and there was bubbles in them. After examining them through the bottom of them, it looks like the bubbles are really just towards the surface. Like they all went to the surface, but they couldn't pop. So I was very encouraged with that. And I was thinking, like, maybe I will do these on camera where I show you folks like how to make the caps for individual lids, like these ones that we just used to take out of, versus the one that we finished off today, which is the full set mold. That said, I really examined the bottom of these, and 3 of them, because I had to like scoop the silicone in, were like ridged real bad, and these are gonna stand just like these. And the part that's ridged real bad is this part, the part that it's gonna sit on. So I couldn't sleep last night very well, and I wound up coming in here after my cat jumped on me in the middle of the night and squashed my nuts. And I poured some silicone in here, actually, that I mixed up in like 5 minutes, and I just poured a super thin layer just so it would fill in the gaps and give me the flat bottom, that if I do set them down in the future when they're not in the solo cup, they won't roll or be beveled, because that will make the resin run out of them, and I absolutely don't want that. So these 3 right here wound up getting just a little bit extra, and as you can see in comparison, like one's significantly more see-through than the other, but on the top they're both the same resin, but because the bottom's not see-through, these ones are going to look just not quite as nice. So that's why you always want to be very careful with your silicone measurements. But overall, pretty successful stuff. So I think that's going to be it for tonight. I'm going to stream again on Tuesday. I don't know how long of a stream it'll be, but on Tuesday I will have 2 sets to make, so we'll pick colors for 2 sets, and then I might just do these on camera depending on what I have going on that night. I don't think there's like anything super special happening in my life on Tuesday night, but who knows, there may be something I'm forgetting. So either way, thank you so much for checking this video out. I appreciate it. For those of you who are watching over on YouTube, if you didn't watch it live, if you want to watch it live, you can always go to youtube.com/I'm-not-sure, and I'll tell you later. Or twitch.tv/Maylum, M-A-Y-L-U-M, and you should be able to watch it. So thank you so much for tuning in for 30 minutes tonight. I know it was a short, late stream, but hey, we got those unmolded, and now we can all see how nice they look. So good stuff. Thank you so much. You guys have a good night.